Hi everyone, John Pokerchart Friedberg here with another episode of Stacking Chips, your strategy source for the 2007 World Series of Poker, the Bellagio Cup, and the dozens of other events going on right here in lovely Las Vegas. I am sad, but I'm glad to say that today is my final episode of Stacking Chips. The World Series of Poker main event is down to the final table right now, and the Bellagio Cup ended yesterday. And by the way, congratulations to Kevin Below Above Saul. He was my guest on the show yesterday. He, after having a terrible start to the final table, he came in with like 4.2 million in chips. I showed up about 30 or 45 minutes after they started, and he was down to about 800,000 after doubling, I think, everyone up at the table. And then, of course, he regained the chip lead and went on to win it. So congratulations to him. It was his first WPT cash. It was his first big live win. And he took home $1.3 million plus a seat in the 25K event and the Bellagio bracelet, all that other good stuff. Congratulations, Kevin. I also want to congratulate Scott Freeman, who ended up taking 19th place in the World Series main event. Scott was my guest on the show, I think going into day 3 or day 4 of the main event. And he took home somewhere around $350,000 for his strong finish there in the World Series. So again, today is the final episode that I'll be shooting during the World Series, and I've had tons of emails coming in asking myself and asking Card Player to keep the show going, so hopefully we'll be able to do that for you. Stay tuned to find out. But I have been promising that I would get to some emails here, and of course we have too many for me to get to all of them, but I did pick a few out here to address, and I will get to those right now. And then my guest on the show is none other than Marcel Luske. He'll be here in a few minutes. But anyway, let me get to these emails first, and then we'll have Marcel on the show. My first question comes from Kevin. Kevin writes, John, I'm a huge fan. I love poker and very rarely get to play at a casino because I live in Virginia. Your show has given me great insight into some of the subtleties of the game, so thanks. I'm writing because I want Card Player to continue to produce your show. It is the Card Player TV show that I watch every episode of. I haven't missed one yet. I'm a father of 2 young girls and don't always have time to watch poker shows on regular TV, so your show is the best source of poker strategy and current events. I love this medium, and it's a wonderful break from all of the print forms of information. All of this is just so you will personally know how much I appreciate your show and to ask Card Player to keep it on the air, especially if you ran the show in conjunction with WPT events. Thanks for all the wonderful guests you've had on the show. Any chance you'll have Gus or Huck on the show? From Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it, as does Card Player, I'm sure. If the show continues, then yeah, I would definitely like to have either Gus or Huck, or perhaps both on the show one of these days. They're both certainly great players that would have a lot of valuable insight to share. Okay, this question comes from Dean. Dean writes, Hi John, congratulations on your 3rd place finish in the $1,500 Pot Limit Omaha event. By the way, that airs tomorrow night on ESPN. I think it's at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern. If not, then it's at 6 o'clock. I think they're running 2 episodes on ESPN tomorrow. One of them is the event that I finished 3rd in. Gavin Smith got 2nd. It should be actually a very entertaining episode. He and I had a lot of table talk, made a lot of prop bets on the table, and it should be pretty exciting TV. Anyway, I enjoy watching your show and taking one piece of good advice from every interview you do. I've been playing a lot of Hold'em for years and read most of the books already. Could you please spend some time talking about game theory? What is game theory? Who has the best poker book specifically regarding game theory? Thanks, Dean. Well, I don't really know a whole lot about game theory, but from my understanding of it is that it has to do purely with the mathematics of the game. I think what the term game theory relates to is sort of the statistically most likely scenarios in poker. So I think what game theory means is if you play the game sort of mathematically correct, so to speak, then you will have a particular outcome over the long term. Of course, any particular hand has a certain, I guess, expected value. Maybe that's not the right term for it, but a certain success rate versus other hands. And then when you run simulations of long-term or big sample sizes of hands versus opponents, depending on the level of aggression that your opponents are, you come up with different outcomes. My understanding is that is what game theory is. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But assuming that is the case, again, I haven't read very many poker books, but I would have to say that that's probably going to be more of one of the mathematical style of authors, like maybe Davis Glansky, or probably even better yet, Bill Chen, William Chen. Bill won 2 bracelets last year in 2006, and I know he's like a mathematical whiz, and from my understanding, he has a book out that has to do a lot with game theory. So again, I haven't read it. I can't say whether or not it was good or bad, but from my interaction with Bill, he's a very brilliant guy. He's obviously shown some remarkable results in poker, so I would probably check out that book. Thanks, Dean, and again, ESPN tomorrow. Next question comes from Josh. Now this one's kind of long, so I'm going to try to read it here as quickly as I can. But he explains a hand situation and wants my advice on it. So, hey John, Josh from Louisiana here. I have a question about a hand I played in one of Foxwood's daily tournaments while I was at home in Connecticut. Just to give you an idea of the structure, every player started with 5,000 in chips, with blinds starting at 25.50 and 20-minute levels. So it's obviously a very short structure here. We were still in the first level of play, and I hadn't played a hand yet through 1.5 rounds of the button, waiting to get a decent read on the table and develop a tight image to exploit later on. On this particular hand, I was sitting in the 1 seat in the small blind. Action had folded around to the 6th seat, who made a large raise to 325, which happened to be the standard raise at this table up to this point. The 6th seat had been pretty active at the table, having raised 3 to 4 pots already at the table, showing down jacks and ace-queen on 2 separate occasions. It was then folded around to me as I looked down at pocket aces. Before acting, I took a glance over at the big blind and saw that he was getting ready to chuck his hand into the muck. So instead of making the re-raise, I decided to flat call and get heads up with the 6th seat without him having any real idea of the strength of my hand. The flop came down 10-8-6 rainbow, and I checked to the 6th seat hoping for a bet so I could check raise him. He overbet the pot, putting in a $1,000 chip. At this point, with the way he threw his chips in and his demeanor, I felt that he had an overpair to the board, either kings or queens, putting me in great position. I pushed and he beat me into the pot, turning over pocket tens. I failed to improve on the turn and river and was left with a $125 chip going out 7 hands later. Was this just a case of me making a bad read on the hand, or should I have raised pre-flop to better define what my opponent was holding? In retrospect, I guess I never gave myself an opportunity to get away from the hand. What are your thoughts on this? Well, this is this kind of situation happens a lot where fold around a middle position raises with pocket tens. Now, he made a big raise, but if that's what the standard raise is at the table, then it's not necessarily a big raise. So he raises to 325 on 25-50 blinds. It's folded around to him in the big blind. You know what? Even if you were to re-raise there, Josh, if you were to re-raise there with pocket aces, he's going to call with pocket tens, and you're going to get the same outcome. So I think in this place, in this particular spot, you really just got coolered. I mean, there's really nothing you can do. Typically, if someone flops top set, they're not just going to, and let's say if this table had more skilled players in it, and somebody raised with pocket tens, and the blind called with whatever he had, and the flop comes 10-8-6, and the blind checks to the raiser, and the raiser flopped a set, I think more often than not, the guy who flops top set is not going to make a big bet there. They're either going to make a small bet or they're going to check to try to let their opponent catch up, because I don't know why he would bet 1,000 here, because he certainly can't put you on aces or kings or queens, I wouldn't think, because you would have most likely re-raised. But I think obviously the pocket tens was an amateur because A, he did make a big raise pre-flop, B, he overbet the pot after flopping top set, which is just never a smart thing to do. So I think I would have to say you did not really play the hand wrong. I mean, sure, you could have re-raised here, with aces, that's usually the safest thing to do, but you saw the big blind was going to fold, so you didn't feel the need to re-raise to isolate, so you thought you would disguise your hand. Well, again, it doesn't make a difference. He probably was going to call you with pocket tens. He still would have outflopped you. You just got cooler, so there's really nothing you could do in this hand. You know, and then on a side note, with the structure of this tournament with 20-minute levels, starting with 5,000 in chips, yeah, that's a good starting stack relative to the blinds, 25, 50 blinds, but when you're playing 20-minute levels, it goes up very fast, and I think these are definitely crapshoot tournaments. I think you really need to play aggressive early and try to accumulate chips or go home. So, again, I don't think you did anything wrong here. I think you just got very unlucky, or UL, as they say online. All right, the next the next email comes from Andy in Canada. Andy writes, "Hi, John. I think your show is unique and great. I really hope Card Player keeps it going. Do you think that playing 3-6 limit hold'em at a live casino where the rake is $4 max, 10% can be profitable? Factoring in that a lot of 3-6 players will usually play a lot more hands, etc. Thanks," from Andy. Yes, I do think that 3-6 hold'em can be profitable with a $4 rake. In fact, I used to play that in Tucson, Arizona, when I was going to college like 600 years ago. But yeah, I used to play 3-6 limit, and I used to make a lot of money at that game. And we actually had a $3 rake, but I don't think a $4 rake would make too much difference. You know, you see a lot of like $100, $150, even $200 pots in 3-6 hold'em because the play is so loose. You know, a lot of times you'll have 7, 8, 9-way action pre-flop. So in that case, yes, I think there's a huge overlay on the rake there. It's only $4. The average pot is probably, you know, I'm going to guess on a, you know, on a Friday or Saturday night or any, you know, weeknight when there's a lot of action in the game, probably you're going to get, you know, at least an $80 average pot. And I think with that said, a $4 max bet, or sorry, a $4 maximum rake is not so bad. I think you can definitely still profit in that game. All right, my next question comes from Teresa in Mountain Home, Idaho. Teresa writes, "John, thank you so much for contributing your knowledge of poker on your show Stacking Chips. It's been very insightful, and I feel that I have learned a great deal about the game. My question has to do with improving my game. I'm fairly new to poker, and I'm curious to hear your opinion on the best ways that I can improve. Should I be reading books, playing in home games, playing online? Thank you so much for any advice. P.S. You are very easy on the eyes, and I hope to have the chance to cheer you on at your next big final table. All the best, Teresa." Wow, I think I'm blushing right now. Thanks, Teresa. You know what? A lot of people ask me that, the best ways to improve, and I tell most people the same thing. First of all, I think it's important, depending on how much of a beginner you are at the game, it's important to read books initially just to understand, you know, obviously the very, very basic fundamentals of the game. So you want to understand the blind structures, you want to understand what it means to be the button, you want to understand what it means to check raise, you want to understand you know, what hands you should be playing and in what position. When you first learn how to play poker, you typically want to play more of the sort of ABC style poker, and that really means not getting tricky at all, just playing your cards at face value. So, you know, for example, you know, a hand like King Jack in early position is a pretty weak hand, but in later position it becomes a little stronger, especially as it's folded to you. So you probably want to start out reading a couple of lower level books that give you an idea of the fundamentals of the game, and also the starting hands and the ranges of, you know, different betting, and so based on position, etc. As far as playing at home games, I don't think home games is a very good idea. You know, I think that you don't really get very good experience playing at home games because, first of all, maybe you get the experience of playing with chips and, you know, betting chips, but realistically you're playing with your friends and you're not learning how to read opponents because they're just your friends and you probably already know how to read them anyway. Maybe not in poker, but in life, like, you're already friends with them. So I don't think the experience is very applicable to the real world when you're actually stepping foot in a land-based casino where you don't know any opponents at your table. So my advice would be, of course, to read, you know, a book or two to learn the game, and then play online. PokerStars, for example, has tons of games of every size, both play money for pennies, nickels, dollars, thousands of dollars, whatever you want to risk. They have all the games that you're interested in playing, and you can play for either real money or play money. So playing online is good because you sort of learn how the game goes. You start to see sort of what hands tend to win, what hands tend to lose. You can get practice with betting and raising, and understanding how to size your bets in relation to the pot, understanding how to play against your competitors, start to be able to read your opponents, etc. And then I would probably go into a land-based casino, and with the fundamentals down and understanding how the game works and knowing how to play the game, then you can work on sort of your live game where you're actually playing against real people. And if you try to go into a real casino too early, and you're thinking about what beats what, you're thinking about what hands to play in what position, and you're thinking about trying to read your opponents, it's a little bit of an overload there, and it might be a little too stressful for you. So get comfortable with the game by reading some books, and then setting up an account at PokerStars and playing online, and then go into a casino and start playing against real people. And so I think that's my advice. There's no substitute for experience. You can read all the books in the world for all the advanced, all the advanced poker books in the world. It's not going to get you any better experience than actually playing. You really have to play. You have to pay your dues. You have to put in your time. And if you're a natural at the game, you'll learn the game faster. If not, then you won't. All right. So that was my last email question. We're going to have my guest come on the show now. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcel Luske. Marcel, thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, nice to be here.
Glad to have you here. You're officially my last guest for Stacking Chips. We've been running shows every day throughout the World Series, and this is the last one, so congratulations.
Last but
thanks
not
for coming
least,
on. Of course, we saved the best for last. So how'd your World Series go this year?
I was pleased in one way to cash actually 5 out of 10 tournaments, which is very good, I think. One bubble. But on the other hand, you want to win a bracelet, and every time I'm coming close, playing a final table, getting to the last few tables, and then getting hammered somehow. So it's a struggle, it's a disappointment. And I know what people go to when they get so close, and there's only one winner in the tournament, and they're so big in these days. So can I complain? No, it's beautiful to be in the poker world and to be recognized and well respected and see the development. But can I get it and give it a final touch? I'm struggling with it.
Well, I think you said your best finish this year was a 4th place finish in the Omaha High-Low Split tournament. And you have 5 cashes out of 10 tournaments. I only had 2 out of about 22, so
but maybe
I wish I had 5.
I hope.
Well, actually, one of them was pretty big,
yeah, that's good.
Which covered all my buy-ins, thankfully. But what's it like for you? What's your assessment of how the poker landscape is changing with all of the new, younger players coming into the marketplace? A lot of these 21-year-olds coming in. How do you feel that the game has changed over the last few years?
What you will see in the upcoming years is younger players, more alert, more focused, more brutal, and they're so well aware of their hand selections and the value that they will go for it according to what's in the pot. And I wouldn't say they're reckless, but they have no fear, and they go for it. And because there are so many of them, the pro players who are adjusting and refine their game and watching people get finally done on the majority of these new players. Like for every pro player now there are 20 or 30 young upcoming players who are talented. It's not like they have no talent. No, they understand the mat and they go for it and they play their position and they put pressure. And it's nice to see the development. It's hard to win a big tournament in these days because of the majority of players. And the distance between the pro players and the new coming players, the young ones who take the knowledge of the game so quick, especially now with the modern technical equipment they have and the computers. So it's like amazing to see the talent that's walking around in every country where they start to play poker.
Definitely. Well, you've sort of had this reputation for being very vocal at the tables. You like to sing, you like to talk, you like to be very entertaining, and you are definitely a pleasure to play with. I played with you a couple times. You're very fun to play with. When you pursue that and you're talking and singing and interacting with the other players at the table, are you actually looking to extract information from your opponents by doing that?
Yes, in a way I find out that, of course, when you feel good, there are nice people on the table. You're with friends, you're playing with each other, you have fun, and something happening on the table that makes you laugh, or you get sick, of how the cards can come sometimes. But it's all in the game, that's what you enjoy. But then I find out that if people are on a different tune, and you start to sing and joke and hear your voice, and they're after you so badly, they can stand you. They take it personal, which makes them very vulnerable to make decisions based on power. But you cannot change your hand. Your cards are there. So whatever you have in mind to do doesn't change your hand you have. So once I tune them and I play and I sing and I'm talking very nicely sometimes, and they get aggravated in a way where they take it personal, and that's the worst thing you can do. So then they're ready to commit suicide in some way, and they want to bluff me, and they want to show me that they bluff me. And I know when they're on this edge, that it's most likely they're going to make a move. So then I change my hand selection, make sure that I can show a hand if the money goes in. And really, I will be, it happens that I really have found a big hand, and I do myself. Then I outsmart myself to put them there. But that's coincidentally, most of the time they don't have hand. So it does help to connect, watch people, observe them, talk with them, and then get a reaction out of them that makes me know where I stand exactly.
Well, it would seem that some players might get annoyed with it, while other players might enjoy you being there. I know Kenna James was on my show earlier in the World Series, and he had told me about an interview one time where some people said that they actually didn't like to knock Kenna out of a tournament because they enjoyed him being at the table. So I would think the same would go for you, where sometimes, in a 10-person table where you're one of the 10, maybe 4 of the people might get annoyed, but 4 of the people might enjoy you being there and might not want to knock you out. So is it pretty easy for you to tell who wants you there and who doesn't, who's getting frustrated and who's not?
It is easy for me once I'm in the table playing for an hour or something with different people. I talk with them, then I know exactly with the people how they feel. And it's still a battle, but it is, as you say, some of the people, they just don't call the hand because they really don't want to knock me out. They're enjoying playing with you, and it was really funny to understand that. And then you have other ones who are dying, and it's not that bad, like 4 out of 10, but once now and there, somebody is just, they don't like you. It's in life like you eat steak, I eat fish. It's just a combination of they're on a different zone. They don't like to sing. They want to play poker and get good hands and get it done. Some people always moan even when they're winning. So you have a certain selection of people, and these are the people who moan when they're winning as well, who don't like me singing because they cannot see you're happy. And I like to enjoy myself and the table. And if I see I disturb people, I will not sing. I will just go back. If I would sit with Phil Hellmuth and Mike Mattis on the table, like I had once, and they keep talking, I don't want to be in there. It's like they go backwards and forwards. And if it's only Mike Mattis, when there's normal way of speaking with each other and the table is involved, I like that. I like to include other people in the conversation and not only one. But as they challenge you, then sometimes you sing, you joke, and they start to laugh, then you carry on because it's funny.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you live in Amsterdam, but you play a lot in the U.S. Do you also play a lot in Europe?
Yes, I do.
And do you find the style of play in Europe is very different than the style of play here in the U.S.?
Certainly there's a different way of playing the pot limit games like we used to, and in the US it's more like non-limit or limit. So you see there's a difference, but we do have a lot of good players. I wouldn't be surprised if Alex Kratchenko, who's in the last 7 players now in the World Series, would take it down because he's a fantastic player. And we have more very good players in Europe. But
is he a Dutch player?
No, he's a Russian player.
Okay.
But from the style of playing, I think they will not be the underdog to the Americans. It's just like in America you get 10,000 more people playing.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. I know you're working on, in addition to your poker game, you're working on a lot of other projects. A couple of them that you've mentioned to me are FIDPA
Yeah.
And then, of course, Luske Poker, which looks like a instructional poker tool set here. So
It is.
Tell us a little bit about what some of the projects you're working on.
Well, Luske Poker is just like the poker game for like baby poker, the first steps of poker. People should know position, then they go like position, how you mean, it's too complicated most of the time. If you make the cards recognizable on the back, so they can see the small, medium and big ones, and the aces are very clear, then suddenly they can make the combination before they make the betting and the investment, so it makes more sense where they go for, they have a direction. So I made the back of the cards visible for people to understand which color, how big, and then there's still a play in there that if you want to make a flush, yes or no, somebody might make a full house, you can adjust it and the investment is worth it. So to keep it simple as baby steps, being followed by the DVD, I explain how to try to get as far as possible in a tournament when you start your first tournament. It's not meant for the professional players, but it's just meant for people who are starting, to give them a base. If they don't know what to do, go back to the base and take it from there. And then you still have a fair chance to make it into the money.
Okay.
The sunglasses are in there for a joke, like people know me from the upside.
So are these are these sunglasses to be worn upside down?
Yes, they're made like you wear them
Oh,
like this
okay.
and they're upside down.
And so tell us about FIDPA.
FIDPA is actually, I started like 5.5 years ago, the IPF, the International Poker Federation. And for 1 year ago, Thomas Kremser, who's tournament director, decided to start his business as a tournament director, running tournaments, and he's a great tournament director. But that was not the intention from the IPF. So I took back the IPF, changed it into, reorganized it like I'm doing now, into FIDPA, to have the same words in there and the same idea, to promote poker as a sport worldwide. In all fairness, and I want people to know wherever you go that you play hold'em, no limit in a tournament, then the rules are the same for everybody, and not when you're in Russia or you're in Holland or you're in America and it's Jackie Leland or it's Matt Sellers running the show, then the rules are different. Why should the rules be different? So I work with all of them in the WPA, in the World Series of Poker, trying to get them on one line, work out the rules and say, okay, here's the mission statement from FIDPA as an organization, and we're going to work with the international poker rules, which are nearly the same from everybody, but we make the step forwards to decide with the players, which I know what they want, to get a line on the table, because it's more easy to work for the dealers, and the player can stack his chip before he put it over the line, and the cards are not being taken away.
Right.
And it gives a lot of favors to make the game going more smooth for the dealers and the players. And they're ready to take it, but nobody's actually doing it, and they need to have board meetings and set up and ask people. And then I say, with FIDPA it's different, because it's an organization I created 5 years ago. We organize it, step forwards, and talk with them behind the scenes, and then launch it like, can we accept it like this? And if they say yes and they adjust it, then we can have the international poker rules. So that's the main goal, to promote poker as a sport.
Well, that's great, and I like the idea of standardizing some of these rules, because as you and I both know, sometimes we'll go to a tournament in Reno, which has different rules than a tournament in other places, where some places have the lines, where
it's ridiculous.
Forward motion is a bet, sometimes it's not a bet.
I know the value of the business for poker, like for Harris, Rios. And of course it's important to have your logos there, but there are ways and ways to do it. But it should not affect the game. And if I see a big ball on the table and you don't see the cards are laying there and the chips getting lost and sometimes the blinds are being forgotten and people are in hand, it disturbs the game. And that's not the idea. So even when I work with them, we discuss it, I fight with them, I struggle with them, and I might be causing them a headache because I speak freely, because I think it's important, I don't want to be too fast. Then they let me know that even when I made a commitment to say, if they don't take the line next year, I will not work with them in the IPAC, and maybe I don't even play, because I don't see why they should not improve the product, and the product is the players. We are the players. So we would like to come back in circumstances that we made better and better and better. But they're trying hard, they're doing hard, they did a lot of stuff this year already. But it's never good enough. We like to fight to get it better all the time. And let's be honest, we pay for it. We are the people who enjoy the poker as a sport. To play the World Series, there should be the best and the biggest. So we should kick their butt to make it like that.
I agree 100%, as do I think most or all other players. So what's your plan now for the next 12 months? Are we going to see you at the World Poker Tour events?
I'm having an event in the Bahamas at the same time when they have an event, I think it's with PokerStars, and we have a ladies event there. I will do the World Series of Poker in London, and I will work from my office on different stuff from the FitPub because it's not coming out of the air. I have to work on different things and work with strategic partners to get things alive, because poker is entertainment. And if you're going to run an event, people expect to come and have a good time. When they get knocked out, they want to even have some action or a nice drink or a nice performance somehow. So to work that out in a way where players will come back and to show the world then this is the way I think it should be done. It takes a lot of work and find the right partners to work with. So there is a lot of work to be done, and even when you do it, it's always more and more. But I will play in the meantime the EPT in Europe, which is very important, and it's growing fast and it's done very nice. So you will see the WPT and the EPT will be like the American version and the European version. And behind the scenes I will try to work something out that you will get another version in a way with combining everybody with each other. Because I like to compete and bring in your competition to work together. So the product getting better for the consumer, which are we, the poker players. It might be a strategy that works good because it brings us more favors. As long as they compete with each other, they have to bring more to the table to get you or me to go to a certain place. So they offer you more.
All right, well, that sounds great. Well, best of luck to you in all of your ventures. Of course, congratulations on a strong World Series this year, and best of luck in the year to come. I look forward to seeing you and perhaps some of the WPT events and definitely some of the EPT events.
Of course, you want to win always, but by getting far and deep, it's always a pleasure to play in these events because they're so well run, like the WPT was this year again.
Yes.
So thanks a lot, John.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks.
Well, that's it for the final episode of Stacking Chips here at the 2007 World Series of Poker. I want to take a moment to thank everyone that's been involved with the show. I want to thank Jeff, Justin, and Tim, and everyone at Card Player. Of course, my agent Rich Belsky and publicist Laura Miller. I want to thank Danny, the super producer, who's done an awesome job here coordinating everything at Bellagio. Kevin and Jennifer at Gen Kev Productions. All of my excellent guests who have really helped to provide so much great content for all the viewers. I want to thank PokerStars for sponsoring me during the World Series. I always enjoy playing on PokerStars, and they obviously have the best selection of games and tournaments of any site in the world. I want to thank my family, friends, and all the supporters. And most of all, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching this show. Obviously, without you guys, the show wouldn't be here. I want to thank you all for your excellent email questions that have come in, which have also helped me provide so much great content. And I want everyone to stay tuned here, and hopefully we'll have some more episodes of Stacking Chips to come throughout the next year at the World Poker Tour events, and of course all the other events right here on Card Player TV. So thanks again so much. I've enjoyed doing the show and look forward to more to come. And that's it. Have a great day. Come by and say hi to me when you see me in the events. Keep the emails coming in. You can either email me personally to johnfriedberg@gmail.com. That's JONFRIEDBERG@gmail.com. Or, of course, come by my MySpace page, www.myspace.com/pokertrip. POKERTRIP. Stop by, add me as a friend, say hello, post a comment, and don't forget tomorrow night on ESPN, watch Gavin Smith, Eric Lynch, and myself, all guests on the show, of course. Watch us finish in the World Series final table, event number 4, the 1500 pot limit hold'em. All right, that's it. Thanks a lot. I will see you guys later. Take care.